Let's get more on all of this with Mehmet, the editorial coordinator at the daily Sabah. He joins us live from Istanbul. Mehmet, first of all, thank you very much for your time this evening. Now, the removal of the HTS terrorist label, just how substantial is this for Syria?
Well, it is very substantial since basically the group's leader is leading the transitional government in the country now. But I think beyond that, it was a matter of a technical issue rather than something that is more substantial, given the fact that Mr. Trump met him in Riyadh and not very long ago, the fact that U.S. government has already voiced, the intention to remove, or they announced the removal of sanctions. But on a political level, at the international level, I think it's very substantial, because this will pave the way for reintegration of Syria into the international community, and it will also enable other countries to recognize Syria's needs and further remove some of the other obstacles and sanctions, particularly from the European nations, and enable the arrival of the very needed aid for reconstruction of the country. So in that sense, I think HTS's removal is very substantial when we look at the bigger picture, because many of its, aside from the leader, many of the figures will be perhaps be included in the government. And now that they are actually running the transitional government, there's no point of keeping them on the terrorist list when you are, as the United States or the Western countries are extending a helping hand, or when you are trying to reincorporate them into the international system.
And Mehmet, as you mentioned there, Trump last month signed that executive order ending many US economic sanctions on Syria, which have now been lifted. Now this. Is there a sense that there's a real desire by Donald Trump to give Syria a boost here? And are we already seeing the effects of that boost on the ground?
Well, the fact that, the UK Foreign Secretary was there very recently, and they promised a nearly 100 million aid in pounds of 100 million pounds of aid. I think this is a very good reflection of that recognition that is led by the US president. In addition, I think for regional purposes, normalization in Syria, a rebuilding of the state will only enable stability in the country. That will also be very effective. And I think, for the regional purposes, it was the missing link. When we see a rebuilding or reconstruction phase almost completed in Iraq, when we see that, Syria has already undergone that regime change, rebuilding needs to be very swift, and otherwise it will become another hotbed for radical groups or for terrorist activities. So if that economic stability is there, if that political rebuilding and institutional rebuilding gains pace, then I think it will minimize the effects of chaos in the region that we have lived through for the past decade or so. So in that sense, I think very substantial, very tangible effects of this removal will not only be important and visible for the country's rebuilding, but also to minimize the effect of other who would like to see chaos in Syria again, for their plans to not be active again.
Mehmet, thank you very much for your analysis and time.
Thank you.